Welcome to Tenacity Zone with Bukola. Today, I will be talking about costs. Yes, cost. Cost is very important. And this is from small business owners who are struggling to identify their cost, who are struggling to know how to classify their costs. It is really important for you to understand your cost and be able to classify it, because if you don't get your cost right, trust me, it can break your business, and if you get it right, it can make your business. If you get the right costing, you'll be able to understand the right selling price. Because if you don't have the right costs and you decide to sell at a price that maybe you just decided to, at random, you just decided to put any price, you might not be able to make profits at the long run. The understanding of your costing can help you to understand how to how to get the right selling price for your product or for your service. In this video, I'll be showing you how to calculate your costing and the different classification of costing that we have. We have the fixed costs and we have the variable costs. For the benefit of small business owners who are just looking for just to understand, I will try as much as possible not to use so much, grammars, so that you'll be able to understand the basic, you'll be able to understand what I'm trying to explain. In my other channel, I go more technical, but in this one, I will try as much as possible to bring it down, tone it down and make sure you understand. Costing. We have two types of costing. We have the variable cost and we have the fixed cost. For the fixed cost, is that cost that doesn't change no matter the level of your output. The variable cost is that cost that changes according to the level of your output. For example, let's say you are into the production, maybe you make t-shirts, or you are into printing, you do printing on t-shirt, or you produce t-shirts. So for your t-shirts, for you to produce your t-shirts, what is that cost that no matter the increase in the production of your t-shirts, the cost does not increase? That will be your fixed cost. For example, your rent. If your rent is $5,000 monthly, it doesn't increase if your production increases. If you decide in a month you want to produce 500 t-shirts, and in another month you want to produce 1,000 t-shirts, it doesn't change. The rent will not increase and it will not decrease. But for your variable costs, if your output increases, then the cost will also increase. For example, your labor costs. Let's assume for the production of 500 t-shirts, you need just 2 laborers. You pay them salary. And in another month, you decide to increase your to increase your output to like 1,000 t-shirts. To produce the 1,000 t-shirts will demand you to employ extra hands. That means you need to employ one more person, right? That means your salary, the salary you're going to be paying those people, the salary you pay your laborers, the salary you pay will be what? It will be variable costs, because it changes. The salary for when you produce 500 outputs in February will be different from the salary you're going to, the labor cost you'll be paying for producing 1,000 outputs. It changes. Same thing with raw materials. If you need to make production of your t-shirts for 500 t-shirts, the raw materials you're going to buy to make 500 t-shirts will increase if you have to increase your production to 1,000 t-shirts. I'll be showing you some calculations. I will assure you something you'll be able to do on your own. But I just want you to understand your costing. There are two types of costing. And costing simply means your expenses. It's just a classification that, for you to be able to know which one is fixed, which one is variable. Expenses, your monthly expenses, your rent, your salaries, transportation, shipping, those are expenses. So when you now classify those expenses, that is when you now have fixed costs and variable costs. You're just trying to understand which one of these costs, which one of the expenses will change if your output increases or if your output changes. So I will be showing you some calculations, because if you don't understand your costs, if you don't get your costing right, you will not get the right selling price. And if you don't get the right selling price, you'll not be able to break even. Break even just simply means when your costs, your total costs, is equal to your total revenue. So I will explain to you why it is very important for you to get your costing right. When you get your costing right, you'll be able to know how many t-shirts you need to produce in a month to cover your costs. Because if you don't get the right costing and you just go about producing and selling at random prices, you will not be able to make profits. You might be thinking you're making profits because you're selling. Yes, you might be selling, but you might not be making profits. So I will explain to you some calculations. I'm telling you, it's something you'll be able to do yourself. Don't be scared of that word calculations. I know not everyone is good at calculating, but it is very essential for you as a business owner, especially small business owners. So I understand, because as small business owners, you handle almost everything yourself, from your inventory to your costing to your to your marketing, to everything. You are all-round manager for everything. So at least you should have basic knowledge of what can make your business and what can break your business, and which is costing. Kindly subscribe to our Tenacity Zone with Bukola. We have two categories of costs. We have a fixed cost and we have a variable cost. For the fixed costs, which I'll be denoting as FC, like I explained earlier, it consists of those costs that do not change regarding the increase or decrease in output. For example, rents, insurance, salaries. Rents cannot change no matter if we increase the salary, if we increase the output or not. So let's assume our rent here is $1,500 monthly, and the insurance is $300, and salaries is like $1,200. That is, I'm talking about you as a business owner, a small business owner. You pay yourself salary every month, $1,200. It doesn't change regarding if you increase the output or not. It's constant. If you remember when I was explaining, I talked about labor costs. Labor costs is not salary. Labor cost is that is directly involved in the production of goods and services. That cost, that is that labor cost, like when you needed to increase your production, you need to employ one more person. That is labor cost. You can just employ someone just temporarily, just to cover that production that you need within that 1 month. And the variable costs consist of the raw materials. That is the raw materials. You want to make production of 20 t-shirts. The raw materials you'll be buying will be different from the number of raw materials you'll be buying if you want to make production for 100 t-shirts. So it changes. Then we have electricity. The electricity bills you'll be paying each month will differ because depending on the energy consumption, if what you're doing demands you, if what you're doing needs you to use electricity, so your energy consumption will be different each month depending on your production capacity, depending on the output you produce each month. So let's say the raw material for to produce one t-shirt might cost, let's say, $5, and the electricity for each production will cost, let's say, $2. So the variable cost is per production, which will be $7. And the capacity or the output you're producing each month, the output you're producing, let's say 500 outputs, 500 t-shirts. So now to get your total variable cost will be this 7 multiplied by 500. That's the output. It will now be $3,500. So now your total cost now will be fixed costs plus the total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Remember, our total cost here, we have 1,005 plus 300, which is 1,008, plus 1,200, that will be 3,000. So the total fixed cost is $3,000. The total variable cost is $3,500. Our total cost will now be $6,500. So that means you'll be spending $6,500 to make production of 500 t-shirts. So knowing this now will help you to know the right price to sell your 500 t-shirts so that you will not make loss, rather you make profit. So let's assume your selling price, which will be denoted as SP, is $10. I'm just assuming. So if you now sell, maybe you just decided randomly, you decided to sell for $10. 10 times 500. 10 multiplied by 500 will give you $5,000. So at the end of the day, you're making $5,000, but your total cost is what? 6,500. So if you minus 6,500 from 5,000, you have $1,500 as loss. And this is what happens with most business owners, most small businesses. Assuming you don't know your total costs, you did not do this calculation, you did not record all your expenses. You don't know this. If you don't know this and you decided to sell your t-shirt for $10 and your capacity to make your production in a month is just 500 t-shirts and you decide to sell for $10, that means at the end of the day, you're making loss. But you wouldn't know. To you, you'll be thinking, oh, you're making sales, you're selling and you're selling. But that is not what it is. You should be able to make profits. That is why it is important for you to know your total costs. Like I said, again, total costs is the fixed costs plus variable costs. And all this thing I'm talking about, cost, is just expenses. All expenses you're incurring in your business, be it rent, salary, shipping, packaging. Classifying all those expenses will now be into fixed costs and variable costs. It is important for us to understand this. This is basic. This is something that should be understood. This is something we need to know as business owners. No matter how small your business is, you need to understand this. Because if you don't get it right, you will just be selling. You will not know. When you are not even calculating, you don't even know your total cost. So you not even know you're making loss. And your main goal of having a business is to make profits. When you're able to understand your total costs, you'll be able to know, okay, this is my total costs, 6,500. And I can only make 500 outputs, 500 units of t-shirts in a month. What should be your profits? That is when break even comes in, which I will be explaining in another video. I don't want to bore you too much. I want to take it step by step. Like I said, I don't want to go too technical. I want something that all business owners, small business owners especially, can understand and they can apply to their business because it is very essential. Before I end today's video, break even is just for you to know what output do I need to make in order to cover my costs. What is the number of outputs that you need to produce to cover your costs? If you decide to increase your selling price to, let's say, $20, now that you know your costs, you'll be able to maneuver. You know your cost is $6,500, your total cost is $6,500. And in a month, you can only produce 500 units of t-shirts. So how much do you need to sell your t-shirts in order to cover this 6,500 and make profits? Understanding costs in your business is really essential. It helps you to sell at the right price. My advice to all small businesses, you don't have, the resources to employ someone to do all of that for you right now. It's just you. Just take these simple steps. Bring out a book or your computer or laptop, anything you have. Document your expenses every day. All your expenses that you're incurring in your business. Those are your costs. Make sure you do your calculations right. If you don't get the right costs that you're incurring in your business, you will not know if you're making profits or loss. And the main purpose of a business is to make profits. You need to know your costs and to know if you're making profits. That is foundational. That is essential to all business owners, be it big business, be it small business. So I hope this video has helped in any way. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and press the notification button so that you can be notified each time I upload videos. Thank you. Kindly subscribe to our Tenacity Zone with Bukola.